So there was the growing up in Montana, right, on the ranch. Is that the right story?
My
Like
formative
with your
years.
grandfather or something like that?
Yeah, my step-grandfather.
Step-grandfather. Yeah.
Yeah, my grandmom was remarried
Okay.
to Jack Ramsey, who owned, I think he owned about 8,000 acres, but he had another 5,000 or 6,000 acres under lease. So that was my playground.
Were you the only kid out there, or was it?
I was the only kid for about 30 miles in any direction.
Wow.
I didn't have much of a kiddom. I mean, you know, I never rode bicycles or did all that stuff, played baseball. I chased cows and fixed fence, fixed the windmills and stuff for my childhood.
Right.
But it was a great childhood. I mean, when I got kicked off the ranch, I thought I went out kicking and screaming because I thought I was in heaven. My last job on the ranch was a line rider. It takes 6 days to ride the perimeter of the ranch, checking fences. And that was my job.
What a great job.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Get a side of bacon, a pound of coffee, and a Hutton 22 rifle and a fishing pole.
And a bucket of nails.
Yeah.
Staples.
Staples, leather for fixing the windmills. A couple blocks of salt on the pack horse. You put salt out as you went along. Yeah, it was. Then they jerked me out of that because the school wouldn't take me past 8th grade. My mom really wanted to.
So you were going to school this whole time? Or
Yeah,
how did that work?
I was the only kid in school. Milligan School District, number 356, was this little schoolhouse out in the middle of nowhere. And the state of Montana had a rule that if there was a kid, they had to educate him. So they would hire a teacher. There was usually some young lady from New York. It was her first year of teaching or something.
Wow.
And she would live in the schoolhouse. She had a one room in the back of the schoolhouse with a wood stove and a bunk and an outhouse. And the front room was the schoolroom, which had a couple benches and a wood stove in it. And I would go to school there. I'd ride my horse. It was 7 miles to go to school in the morning. So every morning I'd get up, jump on my pony, and I'd ride to school, do my lessons. They were pretty loose though, like if it was cattle drive time, I didn't have to go to
Sure.
school or any of that.
That's right, I imagine.
And I got a hell of a good education because they didn't have anything else to do but teach me, you know.
I mean, a lot of people pay a lot of money for private tutors.
Yeah,
You
here I
know?
am, right.
Just move to the furthest corner of Montana.
Yeah, and I mean, I had math and English and writing and stuff down great, but didn't have any social skills. Never been to school with kids,
Oh, wow, right, of course.
except for one brief period, and it must have been the first grade or kindergarten or something, I don't know. I got sent to a BIA school out of Great Falls there, a Jesuit school. And those nuns were like sadistic. And I kept running away and getting in fights, and finally they decided I was too much trouble, and they jerked me out and said I got to go with my grandparents to live there. And that's when I started at Milligan School. It was a great thing. My teacher and I would sit on the porch and count antelope and watch, you know, the herds go by and stuff
Wow.
like that. So it was pretty cool. Then they decided, my mom wanted me to really get a high school education. I was ready to bag it and stay on the ranch.
Sure. I would imagine that was.
Well, I didn't know any different.
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, how would you even know? Right.
So anyway, I went to Spokane because that's where my mom and dad were living at the time. I hadn't hardly lived with my dad for my whole life until then.
And how old were you? This was the 8th grade, so.
Yeah, whatever that was.
Yeah,
15,
12,
16.
Yeah.
Maybe not that old, yeah.
13, 14?
14, I guess, probably.
Yeah, 14, yeah, Max is 14. She's going to high school. 15.
So anyway, I got there 3 days before school started. My dad picked me up at the train, took me down, and got me a haircut because I hadn't really gotten many haircuts. And he gave me the Army Butch with a little forelock on the front. That was weird. Bought me a pair of the most uncomfortable shoes I ever wore. And the opening morning of school, he put me in the car and drove up to this school that had 600 kids in it. Stopped at the front door, opened the door and said, "There you go, kid, I'll see you later." Drove off. I sat out there on the sidewalk going, oh my God, what is going on? Bells kept ringing and I had no idea what they meant. Finally, this young lady came out and said, "Where are you supposed to be?" I said, "I don't know." And she looked at my card and she said, "You're over here." And she grabbed me and shoved me in this door. That was my class. And I didn't have a clue. I went and hid in the back of the room.
Of course. That's what I would have done.
And then the next day I come to school. It's either the next day or the day after that, and I walked up to the front door, and the seniors were hazing the freshmen. Well, I didn't know they did that. You know, they're making the freshmen kneel in front of them, do shit like that. I said, "I ain't doing that." And they said, "Yeah, you are." So I picked out the biggest guy in the bunch. I walked up and just slammed him one in the nose. And he fell down on the steps there. Didn't get back up. He didn't want to fight anymore. But of course they called the principal. So I got hauled in the principal's office. And the principal's going, "I don't know what to do with this guy." About that time a guy come walking in, he says, "I want him." Principal says, "You can have him." Well, it turns out I was the coach for the football team. I want him on the football team. So I got into school.
This kid's crazy.
Yeah. This kid's crazy. He just dropped the biggest senior in the school, so I want him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I imagine that growing up on ranch like that made you pretty tough.
Well, I had it way over these guys
Yeah.
without even knowing it, you know.
Yeah.
So, anyway, first couple of years of school were pretty weird.